Introducing Jules' clinical report. This will be a video manual explaining this exciting new report that will be in addition to the old report, the client report. The new report contains protocol suggestions. For example, if your client takes the online questionnaire and emails it to you, QE data are processed and read into Jules software. The client report and the clinician report are created automatically. Almost all suggested protocols can be created with Jules' knowledge base for Discovery Atlantis 3, Atlantis 4, and GP8E. This slide shows a partial sample of both reports. The client report is the same as usual, listing the client's name, age, and symptom, along with a lot of data in many pages. The clinician report on the left is for your eyes only. If you're tweaking it with a 3-filter design, there are your 2 inhibits and the reward. Those are the suggestions. If you're doing QEG Pro Z-scores, whether it's Surface or S-Loretta, here are the suggested sites. If you're doing Jules Z-score training, here are the suggested sites. If you're doing a tweak, a 3-filter design, these are the sites. If you're doing a 2-channel sum squash, notice the sum squash is a 2-filter design with a reward and an inhibit. But if there is no suggested reward, then it will be a 1-filter sum squash. There's also recommendations as far as using beta SMR is concerned, or just C4 SMR. HEG, PIR, and NIR are commented on. Photic stim suggestions, ISO, UR, or low frequency training suggestions. And the symptom specific means this is what is often done for that particular disorder. It's not based on data, it's based on common practice. So let's go over the new clinician's report again. It has symptom comments, protocol suggestions with filter recommendations, QEG Pro Z-scores, Surface and Loretta, Jules Z-scores, bipolar and monopolar, 2-channel monopolar, amplitude, low frequency, HEG, photic stimulation suggested, and almost all protocols are ready to be created in Jules' knowledge base. Let's begin our step-by-step manual. First, the questionnaire, the online questionnaire. Next, how to process data, QEEG data, and edit it. Next, the reports, and finally, creating protocols. The online questionnaire is optional. Symptoms can be added or changed in the report. You're not stuck with the answers the client gives you. The questionnaire, which is emailed to you, has a total score, and it identifies the reason for the client's visit. So it can be very helpful to have the client's point of view even before you see him or her.
First, how does the client take the questionnaire? They go to www.eegshopping.com. They click on the Jewel tab. At the bottom of the tab is the questionnaire. It's just that easy to find this free questionnaire. The client begins taking the questionnaire by filling in all the windows with the client ID, a unique ID that you have given him, his age or her age, country of origin, and your email address so your client can email you the information as soon as they're done with the report. They also have to check the disclaimer that recognizes that this report does not diagnose them with anything. So clients cannot self-diagnose. All they can do is report symptoms. And they're reporting it on a scale of 0, doesn't apply, 1, sometimes, 2, often, 3, most always. 4 is the key number. They're only allowed to click 4 just once to indicate the reason for their visit, the most important symptom to them. And then when they're done, they click Submit. And once they submit that form, it is erased and no data is saved whatsoever on this website.
When the client takes the questionnaire, they are not required to answer all the questions, just the ones that are appropriate. For example, they might have academic issues, so they would check this box. Or along with the academic issues, they might have memory problems, or perhaps there might even be some issues with mood. But they don't have to click addiction. They don't have to click issues relating to pain, obsessions, or paranoia, only if they apply. And in this way, the questionnaire is shortened and it is isolated for the particular client's interest.
Let's make this clear. Number 4 is for the most important symptom, the reason for their visit. Notice for this particular client, memory retrieval and working memory is number 4. This number can only be clicked once. This is the most important symptom, the biggest area of distress for the client. The client must answer all questions in order to submit the form to your email address. The Submit Form button is grayed out until every single question is answered and every single window is filled in. When the client leaves the website, all data are erased, or they can click Clear Form and start all over again from square one if that is what they wish to do. When you receive the email, this is what it will look like. Dual questionnaire results from patient number 24. They're emailed to you. This indicates your country of origin, the patient's ID, their age, and their test score. That's right, they get a total test score. This indicates their main concern, which was memory, retrieval, and working memory. Other symptoms are also noted, but most importantly, there's an attachment. This attachment can be downloaded. Once it's downloaded and into your downloads folder, I invite you to drag and drop it into their QEEG folder so that you can access it later. So let's say that again. Download the attachment. It will be in your downloads folder. Once that happens, click on it, drag it to the client's QEEG folder, and drop it, like John Doe QEEG. That's in the Brain Avatar Studies folder. Drag it and drop it into that folder because you will be using it later when creating a complete report with protocols.
QEEG data must be collected. We collect it with our Discovery or our Freedom amplifier. We process this data with Joule's new review report that includes beta 6 as 30 to 31 hertz. That report is sent to the client's QEG folder. Why is it sent there? Because that's the folder that's opened in Brain Avatar, and that's why we can find the analysis eyes open or eyes closed file in the client file.
Of course, before you can drag it into the client's QEEG folder, you have to make a QEEG file. So we're making one now, just like we always do. John Doe QEEG. And you click OK. And that's how you begin to make a new file folder with BrainMaster. And of course, the next step is to click Create and select Settings. And we click 19 Channel Discovery High Resolution No Limit QEEG Assessment Impedance Lid if you have it. Essential, it must have filters. I'll say that again, it must have filters. Now this particular protocol is in the Joule utilities file in the knowledge base. I recommend that you put it out in the open underneath the rest of your settings right here on your list. And once you have selected that, of course, click Open. Next, you'll be directed to complete the client information form with their age, gender, and eyes closed is defaulted. Once you adjust their age or gender, then the Use Settings and Close button will be ready to click. Now we begin the process of acquiring the QEEG data. Remember, we never start recording QEEG data until the data looks good. So if there's a great deal of artifact, don't click go. Don't start the process. The client needs to be trained. They need to be shown how to limit artifact. Have them move all around, have them bite down. Let them see how they're involved in the acquisition process. Now, this is the eyes closed data, and that's what it says right here. So let's go on. Now, after we've acquired the 3 minutes of eyes closed data, and you've clicked stop, and you never click the pause. Don't press on the pause bar. You've clicked a full stop, and then you can move to eyes open. You've changed this window from eyes closed to eyes open. And you show the client again the artifact that happens when they blink repeatedly, when they bite down. You train them to sit still. Now, when you're done with the eyes open recording, so you have 3 minutes of eyes closed and about 3 minutes of eyes open, not exactly, but more or less, you must close Avatar completely. Close it right down. That's the next thing you must do. Now that Avatar is closed, you have to reopen it. And when you reopen it, you'll click Folder Selections. Now, if Avatar is already open, then click the blue setup bar to find your client's file folder. Now we're going to begin a process of 3 steps that must be followed in this exact order, or an XML file will not be created correctly. Step number 1, select the correct client QEEG file folder, John Doe QEG. Number 2, import Joul's new review settings. That's right, Joule has a new review settings file that must be used with this update. Number 3, open the corresponding EEG data file. In other words, get the client's information, get their EDF file, put it on the screen. Only then will editing the raw EEG create an analysis file that can be read into Joule properly. So now we're going to repeat the 3 steps. Step number 1, collect the client QEEG folder, John Doe QEEG. Then click Select and Run. Step number 1. Step number 2, import settings. Select the new Joule review settings, and likely it'll say 19 channel, Joule report, and QEEG report review. It populates the file name window, and of course this will be different for Freedom 10 or Cognionics 20, but this is what it looks like for Discovery. And once you've populated the file name window with the correct settings, the new Joule settings, remember, do not use the old Joule settings, use the brand new one with this upgrade. You click Open. Step number 3, select the correspondingly correct client EDF QEEG data. So you click Open EEG File, upper left-hand corner. You find John Doe QEEG. You open up his folder, and there it says JND, John Doe, eyes open patient, age 40, eyes open, right there. That's where we're starting. And of course, you click Open after that. And now it's time to begin editing. And as we know, we select the best representative sample of that client's EEG data. We select good EEG data. We never highlight bad EEG data. We avoid it. Once we have completed editing, and we have to get about 45 seconds or more, I try to get 1 minute or more, which is why sometimes my recordings are 2 to 3 minutes, and sometimes they're 3 to 5 minutes, because I know I need that much time in order to get at least 1 minute of good data. When I'm complete, then I click on the screen again, and I click on Analysis. The whole file, only the sections marked good. Make sure the client's correct age is there. I verify it, eyes closed or eyes open. This one is eyes open. QEG Pro, and notice XML must be clicked. Do not leave it at quick report. select XML, Excel XML, and then these are all the choices that you have, and you can check them all. Now, the setting selections that you choose depend on the software that you have purchased, as shown in the left-hand side of the pop-up. So if you have not purchased S. Loretta, then don't select that. Only select Surface. So you might select the four S's: summary, scalars, surface z-scores, and similarities. Some of you folks will just click that. Others will click all the S. Loretta options. Now, if you click ROI coherence, just a little tip, your acquisition file will be 200,000 kilobytes. Be very careful about clicking that unless you absolutely need it. But once you have filled out this pop-up form, click Run Analysis. Click Run Analysis and watch what happens. Notice the little button goes from left to right and it analyzes the entire report until the button is all the way at the end. That's why I have this long arrow here. It shows the progress of the button as it analyzes the whole file. And notice we're at the end of the recording. You can see it. So after analysis has been done, close Brain Avatar completely. So the Discovery application is completely closed. You must close it at this point.
Now we come to the report section. Joule now outputs 2 reports automatically just by reading in or auto-combining the analyzed report with the online questionnaire. Both reports are PDF files that can be saved. The client report is the same as always. What's new is the clinician report that has added clinical comments and protocol suggestions. Protocols are then made in the knowledge base.
Now it's time to open up the new Joule upgrade, because we need to read in the Joule QEG Pro Analysis XML file. And just as usual, we click on the upper left-hand corner, Load Joule / QEEG Pro Report. So we open up Joule first, and then the next thing we do is we load the Joule QEEG Pro Report. This is what we've always done. Do it again. The next thing we do is we want to open and read in the analysis XML file. So we click on John Doe QEEG. That's our client's file of interest. There we see his analysis file right in his folder. We click on it and populate the file name window, and then we click Open. That's the step we've been doing right along. But now here's what's new. We now have a new button. The button says Automatic Processing, Protocols and Report. If you want to process your data the way you've been doing right along, click on Surface or S. Loretta. But if you want to engage in this new upgrade, you click Automatic Processing, Protocols and Report. Of course, we fill out Adult, Eyes Open, John Doe, because John Doe is an adult. Click that button and let's see what happens. So just a word about automatic processing. Automatic processing for QEEG also includes damping the SEMG. If we don't damp the SEMG, then you will receive report results that will be skewed by muscle artifact. This is essential in finding the correct protocols because we don't want protocols based on artifact. Otherwise, your protocols for many clients will be T3, T4, F7, F8, FP1, FP2. It'll just be EMG. And so it's essential that we understand that that's what's being done. It's also essential to understand if your entire recording is dominated by EMG, then the results cannot be damped because the total recording has been dominated, skewed, and even corrupted by SEMG. So let's go back to what happens after you click the new automatic processing button. As soon as you click that, you go right back to John Doe's QEEG folder. Go right back there. And now, of course, you're going to click that and you're going to open it. But what's going to happen is you're going to see something different. The next step is to open up the client's questionnaire results. Remember, we placed it in the QEEG folder. We clicked on it, we dragged it into John Doe's QEG folder. So when we open up John Doe's folder again, we'll find this new file type. It's not an XML, it's a JSON. This is the client's data. If you remember, John Doe was client number 24. That was the unique ID you gave him. We're going to click on this, populate the file name window, and then click Open. And now when we click Open, now the combination process begins. Now what happens is you'll see the wheel going around, and the brain maps are going to be populated with data. But something else happens that's brand new. Notice it's not just brain maps that are populated with data, but symptoms are selected. They are selected because this is automatic processing. These symptoms are based on John Doe's questionnaire results. And of course, number 4 is the most salient or important symptom of all. And this is the QEEG Pro database results with both power and coherence.
The first report that's completed is the client report that we've seen many, many times. And reading from left to right, we see the client's symptom, their age, their eyes condition, the flow of z-scores from 0 to 30 hertz. We see some basic brain maps, including the map that shows our basic training sites, and of course a description of what sleep problems are, homework, and how to deal with them. And so these are sample pages. The report actually is much longer, and as a reminder, it can be emailed as a PDF document or printed out. Remember, report comments at the end can be edited just like it was in a word processor. The second report is the clinician report. That's what's new. Remember, reports are created automatically by combining the questionnaire results with the XML document created by Brain Analysis. Of course, you can create both reports by manually selecting symptoms or changing questionnaire results. Now let's consider the clinician report. Here is the clinician's report. The report includes comments on SEMG, suggested 3-filter design bandwidths, QEG Pro Z-scores for surface and Z-scores, dual Z-score suggestions, bipolar and monopolar tweaks with, again, bandwidth suggestions for setting up filters. Notice in this case, beta SMR and SMR are not suggested, neither is HEG. Photic stim, we have suggestions. ISO UR, we have suggestions. Symptom specific means this is what is commonly done with this particular disorder, even if it does not fit this client. On the right-hand side, we see text that comments on this disorder. And if we want to save this report, we simply click Save Form, and we can put it right into the client's QEEG folder for reference or for printing. Let's zero in on QEEG Pro Z-score training options. By default, Joule creates protocols or generates protocol designs based upon power alone. But the user has the option to change that foundation from power to coherence, as shown in the next slide.
So now that we have seen our list of protocol suggestions in the client report, we still have the option to do a number of things. For example, we can go back to QEEG Pro Surface Power, and we'll see that P, or power, is blue, and we have the option to click C and make that blue so that our assessment is based on coherence instead of power. Yes, our new protocol suggestions will all be based on coherence now instead of power. And what if we wanted to click different symptoms? Or what if we wanted to uncheck symptoms? We can do that too. We have that option as well. So now that we have chosen arbitrarily, in this particular case, coherence instead of power, what are the results? Now you can see the coherence results are different than the power results. Coherence, as it shows in the knowledge base head, is CZ, PZ, P3, P4, whereas power is F7, T3, T5, T4. Two different results because one is based on power and the other is based on coherence. Either one could be used with QEEG Pro's Z-score training option that you have already purchased.
Let's talk about creating suggested protocols with the knowledge base. Juul's knowledge base contains information about specific symptoms, training suggestions, and methodology to create protocols. Juul, for example, has a 1020 head that can create protocols graphically. Therefore, all protocols that are suggested in the clinician report can be created and uploaded into Brain Avatar directly from Juul's knowledge base. For example, there are 83 possible combinations of Juul Z-scores or amplitude training. They're all in the knowledge base. They're all there ready to be created. First, let's consider 4-channel QEG Pro Z-score training. We see C3, FZ, C4, PZ. How will we create this protocol? Creating QEEG Pro 4-channel Z-score training. In the knowledge base, we have a head, a 1020 head. We simply clicked on C3, CZ, C4, PZ, the desired 4 sites. We have the radio button that says 4-channel eyes open, eyes closed QEG Pro Z-scores. We've picked Discovery as the unit that we will use to do the training. And now automatically we see the protocol appears. We check on it. Once we check on it, we click Create Protocols. And what do we see? We see the BDB2 protocol file that can be clicked on to create 4-channel Z-score training automatically. Let's consider our next example, creating 2-channel, 2-filter sum squashes. Notice we're looking at FZC3 2-filter sum squash. Our inhibit band is beta 2 and our reward band is alpha 1. So Juul doesn't just say do training at these 2 sites. It gives you the inhibit and reward bands. And Juul allows for easy adjustment of those bands. How do you adjust those bands? First, let's create the protocol. We're going to choose Discovery, although we could have chosen Atlantis 3, Atlantis 4, or the GP8E. There are our 2 sites on the 1020 head. It says Clinician Report Options because you got this from the clinician's report. We're picking Amplitude for FCC3. And notice it comes right up and you pick out 2-filter sum squash. You click Create Protocols, and there is the protocol right there, the BDB2 file. You click on that, and it automatically opens up Brain Avatar. Because remember, we closed it before. This opens it right up. And now we are ready to tweak the reward and inhibit bands very easily in Brain Avatar. You might say, why doesn't Juul create a protocol with the exact bandwidths already on it? Because that would require creating thousands and thousands of combinations of protocols. Instead, what Juul allows you to do is to simply tweak the inhibit or the reward bands as you desire. So let's see how we can do this for FZC3. What are our tweaking instructions? When we open up the protocol, you'll see the reward defaults to 8 to 11 Hertz and the inhibit to 20 to 24. Press on the tab key once and notice it goes from blue 8 to 11 to white 8 to 11 and white 20 to 24. When it is white and after you've clicked the tab key just once, that's when you can tweak. How do you tweak? When you click on the L key on your keyboard, either capital L or lowercase l, depending on direction that you want to go. You adjust the reward range. When you click on the A key, remember capital or lowercase, you adjust the inhibit range. It's just that easy. And that's how Joule does everything. Tab key, turn the bandwidth range white, and then you click the L key or the A key or the U key or whatever it instructs you to do on the screen.
Let's recap what we've learned. When processing data, use the three-step method. First, select and open the client's QEG folder containing the EDF files, which are XML. That is the file name designation. Load in the new Joule settings designed to work with automatic processing. Third, select and read in the client's QEG data and begin editing. Automatic processing simplifies our work as neurofeedback providers. Enjoy using Joule's newest feature. Remember, you must use the new Joule settings file when editing. Only with this file can you get automatic damping for QEEG data when there is SEMG present.
Users are not required to use automatic processing. Instead of having the client fill out the questionnaire, you can choose the symptoms you want. Once a symptom is chosen, two completely different reports are written, one for the client and the other one for the clinician. And surface EMG is damped for both QEG Pro and Joule. And remember, there are other videos online available to demonstrate editing and other Joule functions. In conclusion, the client plus the clinician report has now made neurofeedback easier. Neurofeedback has simplified the entire processing of selecting and creating protocols. Why are several protocol options listed? Because clients learn in different ways. Sometimes they learn with QEG Pro Z-scores, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they learn with Joule Z-scores, sometimes they don't. Maybe we need amplitude training or low frequency training or photic stim or HEG. Find out how the client learns best. Use Joule suggestions to take the client to where they need to go to better mental health and happiness.